So I've got a question here from Susan Pendleton, who's a member and says she's very much enjoying the lectures on Wednesday. A question: in your opinion, which artist or artists in the last 50 years would be able to paint or has painted a masterpiece equal to that of the great artists of the past? Well, it's a good question, because when you think about the course of art over the last 50 or 60 years, there's been such a move away from painting to all these other media. And funnily enough, a lot of the artists whose names come to me, when I think of artists who've created paintings that have the ability to stand the test of time, works of art that you'll want to keep looking at and wondering about, a lot of the names that I come up with are actually of British artists. Howard Hodgkin, I think, has painted some absolutely magnificent pictures. I've got one of his prints here, actually. I wrote a book about him, so I'm slightly prejudiced. Patrick Caulfield, who was a great friend of Howard's, I think he painted a number of amazing pictures, and I love some of his prints, which I think are among the great prints of the 20th century, particularly the prints for the poetry of Jules Laforgue. I think of Frank Auerbach, I think is a wonderful artist. Francis Bacon, does that count? He's a bit longer than 50 years ago in his heyday, but I think some of his works, the Screaming Poets, they are, great masterpieces of painting. And it's very interesting, to see them suddenly brought together in a big exhibition, as I did a few years ago, a wonderful exhibition at the Tate. And I thought Bacon really did look like, something suddenly had sort of clicked and he'd become an old master. So I think without any doubt that he did it. And one other artist who I'm very close to in terms of just having really loved his work for many, many years, and I've made a couple of films about him as well, is Philip Guston, the American artist who stopped being an abstract painter almost overnight and painted these extraordinary sort of cartoon-like images inspired by his disgust with the Nixon administration and the Vietnam War. And I think some of his works also fall into that category. But please, if anybody's got any other ideas, do write in. But thank you, Susan, that's a great question.